Alright, I'm making this video on the screen replacement for an iPad Air 2, the latest release from Apple. They've actually changed the way that they do it. It's not just the digitizer that you replace anymore. It comes glued to the LCD now as one unit, like in the iPhones. Makes for a more expensive repair because the part is much more expensive, is the only problem. But this is how you do it. I prefer using a hot plate like this because it heats the whole thing evenly. When a hot air gun is, you have to hit each part and move back and forth, and this whole thing's pretty warm now. I might be able to take it off and get this whole thing removed. Yeah, I think so. Move that out of the way. Cooperating. Alright, other videos on the internet, you're going to see people go straight for disconnecting the LCD, and that's a mistake. The first thing that you need to do is disconnect the battery. When you disconnect the LCD first, there's a spike in voltage that can cause a backlight filter to burn out. And then you've got a much more difficult repair and a lot more time involved and more parts you got to order. So I use a little guitar clip or guitar pick with this little notch cut out of it to slide between the battery and the connector on the board. So now it's disconnected, so I can safely take off the LCD and digitizer now. And I'm going to track these screws with a magnet, this business card sized magnet here. I know this one's for the battery. I put them in order in a pattern so that I know where they go. It's important that you put each screw back in its right spot, especially on the iPhones. You can tear up an iPhone pretty bad putting a long screw where a short screw goes. Alright, that's what it looks like, the whole unit now glued together. I'll need to take this piece here for the camera, holds the camera in place, and then I'll also need to take this, the home button. I hope that's going to be alright. It's come pulled off. but I need to move this over to the new screen so that the touch, the fingerprint security will work on the new one. All that memory is kept in a chip right here on this. So it's important you do this really carefully. There we go. It's intact, so we're okay on that. Alright, this is good. Now we need to clean up the frame. Get all your other remaining glass and glue and things like that up off of it. Want to get all the glue up, scrape it really well, and then when you got all the bigger chunks up, you need to wipe it with a thinner or alcohol or something to help you get the remaining glue up so that the new glue can sit flat to the metal and give a good seal. There's nothing worse than having to do warranty work when someone comes back because the glass came up, you know. Every time you open it, you risk breaking something new. I'm lucky on this one though, the corners haven't taken a single beating, and this new iPad Air 2 might be a little more difficult than the older models to bend back into shape. It looks kind of thick, looks a little more solid. Okay. I got most of the big stuff. I need to go back now with some Gooby Gone cleaner. You don't want to get it everywhere, so try to keep it on the glued areas only. You should be fine. It evaporates kind of quickly, but it leaves an oily residue. You got to come back with a dry towel and wipe up the solvent. With it wet, with that solvent, it comes up. So if you see some large amounts, you need to get back in there with a scraper. Telephone ring. When that happens, the camera dies. looking pretty clean. There's a little more. Alright, now with a clean paper towel, you need to go back and get all that oily residue up. Just use a dry towel and absorb it up really good. Use your fingernail and get down in the corners, or a tool. Alright, that's pretty clean. Spotless. So now we need to prepare the new front end assembly, get it ready to go on. So as you can see, it looks the same, except we don't have our camera bezel, and we don't have our fingerprint scan home button installed. We have to move those from the current screen, so I'll be moving this over to here in a sec. And I need to salvage this here. See. So it will work either way, so there is no upside down, but just to be safe, I'm going to leave it in the same orientation when I put it back. Alright, so you need to compare your new one with your old one, and if you notice anything that's not on the new one that is on the old one, you have to move that over. No matter what it is or how simple it seems, you want to make sure you've got it all. So this sits like this. Sticky. So, the only things I've got to move over are the camera bezel from here to here and the home button, and that's it. So, if you want to zoom in on this home button, I don't think I can zoom with this. No, it's going to have to work. Alright. We'll start by moving these little pieces of tape over that hold down this little, I don't know what this is, some little clip thing that has to be soldered onto the new one. Alright, so I'm going to reuse that. I'll have to use my heat reflow system to get that off. And the rest of this, I need to heat up a little to get this off of here, the glass off of here. This is very delicate. If you tear one of these tiny little flex cables, then you'll have to put a aftermarket home button back on, and then you lose the fingerprint security feature. It will still work as a home button, but you can't use that fingerprint security to get in or out. There's a lot of tape on here. So it's best just to go slow. Alright, got that free. There's nothing on there. Just a little bit of glass on it. Got to get all that off. Now, I need to clean all the glue off this and put my own sticky on it, because this is not going to be trustworthy. This is just isopropyl alcohol here. It's not easy getting that off when everything's so delicate around it. You have to be so careful. But I really just need to clean a spot all the way to the metal here so that my adhesive will grab and this old stuff won't get in the way. And there we have it on that side. Set aside here. Alright, so now this red tape, that's the name of it. It's a really good brand. It's very sticky and works really well. It didn't go where I wanted it. Try that again. That one looks good. It's just the wax paper. My eyesight. Try this again. Alright, phone ring again. So still a little bit of glue on here I need to get. Alright. Now, one more for this corner piece here. It's got a little on it. I'm going to take that off, put my own. I don't trust it. There we go. It's not cooperating. These are the worst scissors. Alright. Now I'm ready to start placing that in there. Take off the wax backing so that it's sticky. Alright. There's a little clip that you have to flip up right here to allow this to slide up underneath it. So before I stick anything down, I want to make sure that's up in there. I believe that's it. So once it's in there, you can push that clip back down. It should hold it okay. Now I need to line out the button and all the flex cables, make sure that those get attached where they need to be. Seat the button in its hole before you stick anything down. You have to account for the step. You want your flex cable to fit to that step here. So I'm using my tools to push it up in there before I press down. And then I press down when it's all good. I think that's good. Let me look at the other side. It's a dirty button I'll have to clean, but it's in there. It looks good. Alright, now I don't know if you can see this. It's not known exactly what this is. This little tag here, it has to be removed with my reflow hot air and then soldered onto the new screen. And people aren't sure what it is. They kind of think maybe it has something to do with the smart cover. You know, maybe when it closes, this is a signal of some sort. So anyway, it needs to be moved over so that there's not some missing functionality that you once had. So we'll set this aside for now. If you can see that. Got mine set to 750 degrees Celsius. That's pretty hot. Gets hot quick too. Should come off pretty easy. You just want to melt it and get it off, and then we'll have to use some soldering techniques on the other way. Put it on the other side. There we go. So, not too big of a deal. Now, for this one, I may need a magnifying glass to see that, so I'm going to set you back and get set up here where I can see well. I'm not going to use hot air though. That's going to be a problem. Do it like this. Alright, there's some pretty good solder on there, but I'm going to re-tin it. So, I gotta turn this one on. Which is also set at 750 degrees Celsius. You want it really hot, and you want to come in and get out really quick. If it's too low, you hang out longer to get the same effect when you're actually frying the board or whatever it is you're working on. So I'm going to add a little bit of flux, help with oxidization. Looks pretty good. So now place this where it needs to go. Placing something on a microscopic level is quite difficult sometimes. Getting it right where you need it. Sticks to your tools and everything else. That's where it needs to be. Can I do this without moving it? That's the question. It moved. A little more flux. There we go. Alright, so that's the last step for prepping this other than adhesive. So now we want to clean it up with alcohol. Get all the gunk. Alright, so now we need to prep the device to take this unit. Actually, first I need to put that tape back. I took off the old one. It covers the connections of the part I just soldered on. There we go. Alright, so got little bit dirty back here. Clean it up a little bit. Of course, no one will ever see this. This is the back on the inside, so. Almost forgot. I got to put this part on. You know, and I've figured out through the other ones that I've done on this model, putting it on here and hoping you have it in the right spot is a shot in the dark. And when you flip it over and you're ready to seal it up and you find out that it won't close completely because this is not in the right spot, I figured out a way to guarantee it's going to be in the right spot, and that's to put it on this side. You have to use sticky tape anyway to get this to close and stay closed and not get dust. So by using some double-sided sticky tape, I can hold it into place over the camera, and so it'll land where it needs to go on the screen when I close it. Just put a little bit on each side. Actually, I don't want to cover those. A little too long. There we go. So now it's held in the spot, so whenever this goes on top of it, it'll just go where it needs to. Alright, let's test. So I don't want to connect this if my battery is connected. That's very important. Always disconnect your battery before you do anything. And I see a lot of videos where they don't do that, and they're causing people to burn out their fuses. Lots of them. So mine is disconnected. Alright, so now that those are both in there, I can pull out my guitar pick and press down, and that should be enough to connect the battery again. So let's set this down, check out the fit. Looks good. I like the iPad Airs. They don't have that extra plastic bezel to hold the screen in place. It's just a perfect aluminum case that fits great. I like that. Alright, let's test everything. Good sign when the Apple logo comes up. I need some new red tape. It's almost gone. Keep messing with that. Alright, let's see here. The gloves. Alright, let's do some testing. You want to grab an app and drag it around, checking. Oops, where'd it go? If it slips out of your hand like that over and over in the same spot, then you got a problem. That was a fluke. I just dropped it. But this will show you if there's any dead spots on the screen, and there's not. This one looks good. I'm going to check your volume buttons, volume down, volume up. That all works good. The home button works good. Alright, well this looks good. I think we're okay here. So now, let's go ahead and turn it off and set it up with some double-sided sticky tape. Get it ready to close. This here. Okay. So, I am going to disconnect this again to put the tape on. So, I'm going to disconnect the battery first. That's very important. Okay, battery's disconnected. So now, I'm going to take off the LCD and digitizer. I like to use my fingernails for stuff like this because you end up getting a feel for it. And a tool, you don't have that extra feel for it and you could damage something, and it's just safer this way. Move this aside. And back to my trusty red tape. This red tape is double the thickness that it needs to be, so I should be able to trim this and reuse this other strip for the other side. It's not working real good. My blade's a little dull. That is the problem. Most of it I can reuse. Alright, instead of trimming this one up for such a small piece, I have some skinnier, double-sided. This white stuff, it's almost as good. But for this little section, we're good. Alright. So now, we can get ready to put it all back together and make it work like new again. Battery's still disconnected. I'm going to plug these back in. Alright, phone ring again, camera dies. Alright, so now let's seal this thing up. I need to put this plate back on. And the battery screw, make sure it stays connected. Alright, so now it's ready to seal up. Let's take off all the wax paper, close it up. Alright, I'm ready to close it. We want to sit the top in there. Well, actually, make sure you pull off all the protective plastic before you close it up. Almost didn't see that. That's it. All the rest is gone. And we want to seat this in first so we can look at the flex cable. Make sure it's going to fold and be out of the way. It is. Alright, let's push it on down in there. I believe that does it. Battery's dying. Just in time. Alright, well, I'm going to charge this up and call the client, tell them to come get it. That's how you do an iPad Air 2 front end assembly replacement. Thanks for watching.